Yeah, Math 3, videos with Mr. Newbold. First funny video.
We just went through the drive-up window. What did we get, Cooper? Daisy, what did we get at the drive-up window?
Ooh.
No, Cooper.
No.
Let Daisy have some.
Don't feature
No,
dog
Cooper.
ice cream.
Daisy, where'd we go?
Ice cream isn't for dogs.
Did we go to McDonald's?
Oh, especially not McDonald's. That's not even good for you. Don't. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, why isn't
Daisy
Cooper
gets
getting any?
hers first.
Why?
Why does Daisy get hers first?
Yeah, why?
Cooper
Whoa!
eats hers too fast.
Oh my goodness, Cooper, you pig. Thanks for watching. Alright, so we're helping you with the Unit 7 practice test. So thanks for watching, and we're going to help you and remind you how to ace this test. So jump right into it. Number 1, so graph each of the following. Label the period divisions, the amplitude, vertical shift, midline, and phase shift. So we're actually asking you to label now and be good at that. So make sure that you do that, or at least get in the right location. But label, label, label. So first of all, cosine. Can you remember cosine? It looks like this. And it has 5 magic numbers. So 0, no. So cosine actually starts off higher. Do you remember? So cosine starts off at positive 1, and then 0, then negative 1, then 0, then 1. So those are the 5 numbers we're going to use. Okay, 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1. And so we have an amplitude equal to 2. Awesome. And so we're going to go ahead and times that amplitude. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 2 times 0 is 0. And 2 times 1 is 2. So those are the y values. Those are the y values. We have a midline of just plus 0. So a midline of 0. And then we have a period of 2 pi over b, where b value is just 1. B equals 1. And so 2 pi over 1 means we have a period of 1. So make sure you do the 5 dots and make sure you label it. So we got 2 pi going on there. Half of 2 pi, half of 2 pi is just 1 pi. Awesome. And then half of 1 pi is just pi over 2. And that's how we get this mysterious magical third number right here, is by counting by pi's over 2, right? So again, this one is 1 pi over 2, and then 1 pi over 2 plus 1 pi over 2 is 2 pi over 2, which reduces to pi. So 1, 2, so 3 pi over 2, right? So make sure you label all those for full points, 3 pi over 2. And then the next one would be 4 pi over 2, which just reduces to 2 pi. Cool. So we labeled our period correctly. Awesome. We'll use a different color now to do our graph. And so instead of starting off at 1 like we usually do, we're actually going to start off at 2 and then go down to 0 and so forth through the 5 points. So at 0 we start off at 2. Then at pi over 2 we're going to go down to 0 next. So here's 0. So that's 2, 0, and then we'll go down as far as negative 2, good. And that's for pi, and the next dots will be back to 0, and then up to 2. And so don't forget that our graph does carry on with lots of waves, but this is just doing one cycle of our graph. You can do arrows if you want to, you don't have to, but that's just one cycle of our cosine graph. Cool. Now sine is a little bit different. So sine actually goes like this, if you remember. Starts off at 0, goes 1, then back to 0, then down to negative 1, then 0. Memorize it. Make sure you memorize it, those 5 numbers, 0, 1, 0, negative 1, 0. So make sure you memorize the 5 numbers. That's an R. So make sure you memorize it. Cool. Okay, so we're going to take those 5 numbers, and our amplitude is just 1, and our midline is just 0. Amplitude 1, midline just 0. So we're not even going to have to manipulate it all. It's just going to be the period, it looks like, right? The 2 there. And so our b value is 2. And so don't forget your formula is 2 pi over b, right? That's the formula to find the period. And so our b value is different, or, well, it's the same, but I mean it's a different number too. So let me show you what I mean. So if this b value is 2, that means that we're going to go ahead and plug it down here, which is different than our formula, 2 pi over b. Then the 2 pi's will cancel, and so our period is just pi. So then we're going to label that with our 5 dots there. And so we're going to be at pi right there. And then half a pi is pi over 2. Awesome. And then you divide that again. What? Yeah, pi over 2 divided again, which is the same as just timesing it by 1 over 2. And so what's half of a half? That's a fourth. So pi over 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. So this you're going to be counting by 1 pi is over 4, okay? So 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4 reduces to half, which we already got up there. So that means this is 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4 is how you get that tricky third one. And then the next one will be 4 pi over 4, which just reduces to pi, which we already got. Sick. Okay, so we labeled the period correctly, and that's what we're really looking for on this one, is if you can graph that correctly. And then we'll go ahead and go back here to graph it. Again, we start off at 0. We go as high as 1. Back down to 0. Down to -1, label, and then back up to 0. And so there's our graph for problem number 2. Cool. And remember that it does carry on, but we're just looking for one cycle. Awesome. And so if you compared that graph to maybe like the first one, so you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to show it to you real fast. So you would see that what this 2x did there is it actually shortened our wow, right? It actually, boom, all the way just to pi. See how it went all the way to pi? Yeah, so it went all the way to pi. And so that really made our graph smaller, as you can see over here. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so then let's go and take a look at number 3 next. Thanks for watching. Let's go and take a look at number 3. On our practice test, trying to learn all these. Ooh, a half. So a half is just going to make that amplitude a half, okay? And so that's going to times a half to everything. So the amplitude is half. The midline. What's the midline? You say it before I write it. You say it. I write it. Say it. Write it. That's right, 3. So amplitude is a half, midline is 3. The b value is just 1. And so that means that our period is just going to be 2 pi over 1, which is just 2 pi. So let's label that sucker so we can graph this. So we got 2 pi, pi again, and then half a pi again. So pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. Memorize it. Or just the pattern. Cool. So now we're going to do, so we're going to shift up 3, midline plus 3, and then our amplitude we're going to times by a half, okay? So what's going to happen now is we're going to take the 5 numbers of sine, so 0, remember, 1 up to 1, back down to 0, -1, 0. And so first you want to apply the amplitude first. That's important. So we're going to go ahead and times it by a half all the way through, okay? So we get 0, a half, 0, -a half, 0. And now we're going to apply the amplitude first, and then go ahead and apply the midline. Kind of like PEMDAS, right? So PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication. Amplitude is the multiplication. Midline, we're now going to do addition, subtraction, so addition. And so we're going to go ahead and add 3 now to each of those numbers. So 3 plus 0 is 3. 3 plus a half is, well, 3 and a half. If you want to make it easy on yourself. And then 3, and then 3 minus a half is 2 and a half, and then 3. Cool. So let's go ahead and graph that now. And just remember that, okay? So just remember that each of these 5 numbers, these corresponding dots here, goes with the 5 numbers of sine that we manipulated. So this is basically the y values, and then the x values would be our 0, what we just did over there, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Right? So we're going to match those up and graph them. So 0, we're going to go up to 3. Awesome. Then we're going to go, for pi over 2, we're going to go up to 3.5. And then back down to 3. Then down to 2.5. This is 2. And this is approximately 2.5. And then back up to 3 again. And there's our graph. Whoa. Nice. Good job. That was a tough one, but we got it. Did you get it right? I hope you did. Okay, now we're looking at cosine, which hopefully you already have memorized the cosine function. Just starts at 1, right, and goes to -1. So like this, right? But now this symbol means upside down. Oh, upside down. So I'm going to use my little eraser there and just kind of make this a dashed cosine just to show the reader there that it's not the actual answer. And so the actual answer, let's go ahead and, whoa, that's really thick. So we're going to go ahead and do in blue. So it's going to be upside down. Nice. And so we're going to go ahead and upside down it. We're going to do a regular period of 2 pi. And this is just pi. Pi over 2, of course, and 3 pi over 2, just like the unit circle. And we're going to flip it upside down. Right? That negative is going to flip it upside down. So if you do take the 5 numbers of cosine and multiply it through with the negative times it with the -1, this will become -1, 0, +1, 0, -1. So it's going to start down here at -1, and then go to 0, and then +1, and then 0, and then -1. Awesome. There's our cosine graph. Sweet. Probably time for video number 2. So thanks for watching. We'll do video number 2 where we go on to the next equation, which will be 5. And then we'll do phase shift. Maybe we'll do 5 right now because you guys are kind of getting the hang of it, right? And then we'll do phase shift on the next video. So number 5, cosine. We got a lot of things going on. So the midline is going to be 1. Don't forget to label. It says, label which one's which. Amplitude is just a +2, but it will be upside down. It will be upside down. And then, that 3 is going to get tricky on us. So remember, it's 2 pi over b, and so it's going to be 2 pi over 3. What? So it's going to be 2 pi over 3. That's going to be a weird period, but we got this. Let's go and label our period first with our 5 dots. We got 0. Cool. So we're going to go from 0 to 2 pi over 3, okay? So you're going to have to divide to get that halfway. So if this is the full distance, right, this will be half the distance. And so we want to go ahead and cut that in half. And so 2 pi over 3 in half, wow. So when we say in half, like cut it in half, we actually mean like, so how do you say this, like flip and multiply, or you can times it by half and reduce it, either way works. So we can do 2 over 1, 2 over 1. Actually, divide by half. I don't know, it's not divided by half, is it? It's divide by half means multiply by half. Oh yeah, sorry. That was close. Okay, so then it's going to be 2 pi over 6. Cool, because you're just doubling the bottom basically by cutting it in half. So 2 pi over 6 reduces to pi over 3. 1 pi, oh that makes sense. 1 pi over 3 because the 2's cancel. Silly old bear. So that's 1 pi over 3. Then times it by half again, and we do get pi over 6. So we're counting by pi's over 6 in this crazy one. So 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6. And so 3 pi over 6 does reduce. You can just put 3 pi over 6. I'd give you that on the test. But it does reduce to what, pi over 2? Nice. That was interesting. Okay, so there's our period done. Woo! There's our period done. Awesome. We'll get rid of that part. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take the 5 numbers of cosine, and we're going to go ahead and multiply, and with a -2. Crazy. So we're going to go 1, 0, -1, 0, 1. That's cosine. We're going to amp it through there with a -2 to flip it upside down. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, 0, positive 2. And then 0, negative 2 times 0 is 0. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Cool. Now we're going to add, that was amping it up. Now we're going to midline it by shifting it up 1. And that basically just means adding 1, right, all the way across. Remember how to do this? I hope you do. So 1 with the negative 2 is negative 1. Pause me. You're supposed to be doing this on your own. And then check your answers and see how you did. So negative 1, and then we have 0 plus 1 is 1. And then 3, and then 1, and then back to negative 1. So those are the magical 5 numbers. Magic! Because when I was learning this, I had to do all these shifting in my head and turning upside down. I'm like, man, this is crazy. So definitely, if you use this, use the 5 numbers and then apply the amplitude and midline, and make it a lot easier. Okay, awesome. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead at 0. We're going to start at negative 1. And then at pi over 6, we're going to go up to 1. Good so far, good so far. And then we're going to go up to 3. Good, good. Back down to 1, and then finish off there at negative 1. So it's an upside down, expanded, shifted period, midline, shifted up 1. Graph. That was intense. Thanks for watching. Watch some more. Next video. Click. Peace out.